and look, we're not alone in Louisiana, right? Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, they've all got a lot of the same stuff going on. And this is my argument with people that say inflation is over.
Mm.
Inflation is embedded at a higher level.
Mm.
And history tells us we just need to get used to it, right? Like the other day when the market pumped because the CPI was a tenth of a percent less than forecast, and it's like buy everything, like the
Mm.
shittiest stock on the stock market was going up. Like, that's fine. Like the market dynamics are fun, but CPI is still that inflation is at 3%. That's compound interest. Like everybody understands compound interest when it comes to their investments, but it seems like we forget when it comes to inflation. So insurance is a great example of that dynamic. You think insurance premiums are going to come down substantially in the future?
No, probably not.
Like
I
ever
mean,
again? Like I
well,
don't like that's not how it's going to work.
so look, I'm gonna answer that, Chris. But we got some questions coming in. Lewis asks,
Yeah, let's go.
what's the best way to buy land without a lot of cash? And I know Lewis, so he buys like 10 plus acres, and I think he was in a situation where he had like 10 or so acres come up next door to him,
Yeah.
but didn't have the money to jump on it. And I think what actually ended up happening was some other guy jumped on the deal and then resold it to someone else, got in first, got the contract, and, made 10 to 20 grand. So do you have any strategies on how to?
The dogs heard me get excited. They're in here wagging their tails. Sorry. Yeah, obviously if the guy's an investor, like he knows the routine right now, obviously cash is king. But I think that's something, there's a couple of options. Louisiana, I'll use Louisiana terminology first. You've got bond for deed and you've got seller financing, both of which I think are going to be more popular than they've been in a long time, right? Bond for deed is kind of like other states call it like land contract, land sales contract, where you can tell the seller, hey, look, I'll pay a little bit more, but I'm going to pay you off over time. Right. So I'm not getting a loan from the mortgage lender for whatever reason. I don't have the cash, but if the seller is cool with getting a little bit more, but kind of like layaway paying over time, you can always negotiate that. Seller financing is another way. Look, it's one of the cool rights that's granted to us as real estate owners in the United States of America is that I can be the bank. Kevin, you could buy my property from me. And if mortgage rates are 8%, I could say, dude, I'll give you 7%. I'm just as an example, right? Mm-hmm. That may not be a good enough deal for you, but it's 100 basis points off what you could get from the bank. And now I'm not getting all the cash up front, but you're going to make payments to me just like a bank. Now, those are a couple of options that are out there. I think we just need to get creative until the market kind of breaks and moves. Don't be afraid to get creative, but also, sometimes it just doesn't happen too. That's real estate also. If somebody comes in that's got the cash and you're working on something else, sometimes they're going to win. So I think speed is always important, in today's day and age. So hopefully that helps a little bit. That's basically the options, right? If you don't have cash, you don't have a loan, you can try the bond for deed. You can ask the seller if they'll do that. You can ask the seller if they'll do seller financing. I'm the kind of guy that would do it.
Yeah, and Frankie just said bond for deed is an awesome vessel. Frankie and I actually talked a lot about
there
bond
he is.
for
What's
deed.
Up,
Frankie? With bond for deed, so I mean, there's not too much downside for the seller, right? Because say if I'm buying something from you, bond for deed, and I default on the payments, then you essentially retake the property, right? And then also you don't have to worry about insurance.
Well, so yeah, this is super state specific, right? But in Louisiana, what's really important about both of those, by the way, is you would still get them drawn up and recorded on public record, right? Make sure everything's protected. But yeah, there's special rights that are granted. When you think about a real estate transaction, whether you pay cash or you get a mortgage, the seller walks away from the closing table made whole. So the rest of it doesn't matter to them. But if you think of a bond for deed, that is not the case. The seller's walking away from the table. They have transferred title, but they don't have all their money yet. So under bond for deed, the big thing is if you were to buy one, just don't miss a payment. Because if you're 45 days late, you can basically be evicted from a property that you bought. And the difference is you may not have equity like you did if you bought it with a mortgage or cash. So it's risk reward, just like anything else, right? Because Bond for Deed is sort of designed for the person that doesn't have cash or can't get financing. So, but anyway, I think it's a really cool vessel, and all states have some version of that. I think Louisiana's is the coolest because it's the simplest, but there's a lot of cool options.
Yeah, he's in Mississippi actually. Yeah, it's crazy when this came up. He was trying to get me to buy the property, but I was like, man, like you said, cash is king right now. I'm waiting for the
It is.
crash.